Welcome everyone. My name is Laurens Wapenaar. I am a product manager at FinDock, and with me is Klaas Koistra, also product manager at FinDock. Uh, Before we start, I'd like to mention this session will be recorded, and the recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. Everything we'll be talking about is already available in your sandbox environments, so you can try it out there, and will be released to production on Sunday night, May the 25th. If you'd like to track the deployment and the maintenance in detail, you can go to status.findock.com and subscribe for live updates. On to the content of the webinar. Today, we'll be discussing a couple things with you. We'd like to give you an update on the pilots and betas that we're running. We have done a big upgrade to our new enhanced setup. We're introducing new capabilities to our virtual terminal. And obviously, we have a long list of smaller wins that we hope will make a big difference, including an announcement around our permissions. Let's start with our betas. With this release, we are not moving any of our features up. We do hope to do so in the next release. But we have been working a lot on our authorized.net integration. With the May release, we now also offer ACH direct debit through online and our virtual terminal, which we'll be talking about later, and credit card through our virtual terminal as well, which means we're feature complete for authorized.net. We've also implemented feedback from our pilot customers and are definitely looking for more feedback to move this to beta and to general availability soon. On to the first big feature we want to talk about with you. We have been on a continuous journey to make FinDock easier to implement. And to do that, we do product improvements, we add in-app guidance, we have created additional guidance both on our docs website and our academy, and are adding additional tooling and examples of how you can use FinDock to, for instance, FinDock Labs. Today, I'd like to talk about the in-depth guidance part, where our biggest development is around completely rebuilding our setup. We've been on a pretty long journey by now, where we've created several versions of this setup, and in the May release, we have made this setup on par with our classic setup, at least on a functional level. We've also done a couple of native navigation improvements. We've improved the styling and the user experience, and we've made sure that the new Salesforce Cosmos theme, which runs on the SLDS 2 design system, also works nicely with our new setup. And we've implemented several bug fixes that were either found by customers or that we found ourselves. In the next release, we hope to do some final improvements and some final bug fixes if we find any, and also deprecate the classic setup. That will mean that we will start removing all the functionality that's available in the enhanced setup from the old setup. Finally, we hope to make it possible to install and configure FinDock from one package instead of currently multiple, so it's easier to get started. If you have feedback on the new enhanced setup, we would appreciate it if you would send it either directly to me at laurens@findock.com or to our CSG department at support@findock.com. Rather than talking more about it, I'd like to show you a little bit of the things we've been working on and our ideas behind it. So here you see our new enhanced setup, which is under the FinDock setup tab. And if this look and feel is unfamiliar to you, this is the new Salesforce Cosmos theme that should be available in your environment, but is not forced on you. What we've done is we have done a couple improvements around navigation. That means we have split up the UI of some of our pages into several tabs to make it easier to digest what's on a specific page, but we have done multiple improvements to make sure that you still have the same at-a-glance value of what is going on. So for instance, on this page, you can immediately see which processors are active, how many targets are configured, which payment methods are enabled, without overloading you with all the information on the same page. Also, if we dive a little bit deeper into, for instance, the Stripe configuration, we have basically done the same. We have split the UI in several tabs, but have added a summary element to the top, so you still have the full overview. So we're trying to have it both ways here. The same we've done to other pages with lots of setting, like the Connect page, which has both the processing hub and the web app setting, and a lot of them, to make it easier to navigate and understand the setup here. Another thing we've done is we have found a couple things that you need to do always to even get started. So we've called this the initial configuration element, with things like you need to have the processing hub package installed, otherwise certain things in the setup are simply not functional. And the same is true for the Salesforce Lightning Web Security feature that we found is not enabled in all environments. These kinds of things you will find here, and once they are completed, this element will simply disappear. We've also tried to make it easier to find our setup guide, which guides you through all the steps that are needed to configure FinDock, including several optional ones depending on the needs of your organization, simply to make sure that the first onboarding of a new Salesforce environment with FinDock is easier to do. So that's it for the setup. At least for now, we're trying to finish it off in the next release, so that everybody can enjoy this new experience. And if you have any ideas or feedback or like to participate in the usability test, please contact us. On to our virtual terminal. So one of our features that we've had for several years is our virtual terminal, also called our motor component, which helps you to accept and process payments from within Salesforce as a Salesforce user. This is often used for payers that call in on the phone or try to pay through direct mail, and then need some kind of authorization or integration with a payment service provider or FinDock native processor to start collecting payments. This works obviously for both one-time and recurring payments, and when it comes to cards, we are fully PCI compliant. Up until now, the only payment method that was available here was credit card. And for any other payment method, either you were out of luck or you would need to build something yourself. So with this release, we are extending this functionality. So our current Moto virtual terminal component with direct debit. And obviously, this is going to be a bit of a journey across processors, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But this helps you do all these different payment methods from one place in your UI. That basically means that next to recurring pay links, which already works with all our payment methods, the same is true now for our direct mail and telephone channel payments. That means you can now start, even more than before, segmenting your customers into different channels where you think you will have the most success of reaching them and setting up a payment. So what problems does this solve? So there's a couple different ways we see these components, but also our recurring pay links features used. Well, we see them used to set up payments on the phone or on paper. We see them used a lot when payment method mandates become invalid. We'll talk a little bit more in detail what that means. We see it to move people from inefficient or outdated payment methods to newer and more efficient payment methods. And we see it to recover abandoned baskets. All of this to simply prevent and recover lost revenue, save time and cost chasing payers and avoiding fines, and still provide a personalized experience for all your payers, whoever they are and whatever they want to do. So practically, right, when we talk about setting up payments on a phone or paper, it's when customers call you or mail you their payment details, whether it's a credit card number or a bank account number, in a secure and compliant environment. We see that cards expire, but also bank mandates can fail, and bank accounts can be changed or closed, which means you will need to set up a new one. We see that people are moving from credit cards to direct debit. Payment slips are getting out of fashion, which means you will need a new payment method to set up. And people simply forget to finish setting up a recurring payment, or get distracted, or in a commercial environment buy a product and then need to go somewhere. And this provides you an easy way to get in contact with them and then still set up a payment. Before I show you, all of this works with currently only a select number of methods and processors, but we will be expanding this in the coming releases. Obviously, it works with all our managed sources, so MPSP, FinDock Native, and MPC, a non-profit cloud. And then the true power of FinDock is always you can integrate these components into a flow to create your own agent and customer journeys, precisely tailored to your specific organization and your specific customers. All right, on to a demo. So here you see an installment object, which represents an expected payment that I've already created for the purpose of this demo. It has the amount of 10 euros. I already know who my payer is. In this case, it's myself. And the status of this installment is new. So we still need to set up a payment. On the right-hand side, you see our new and improved virtual terminal. Functionality we already had was that you could reuse an existing setup payment method, which includes a payment profile and a mandate. And you could already enter new card details in case there were none available or the payer wanted to use a new card. Now, on top of that, we've now added a way to enter new bank account details. What I'm showing here is ACH direct debit with our authorized.net processor, which is the first integrated processor and method combination. Here you can see that for an ACH payment, which is a direct debit in America, you need to select the checking, whether it's a checking or a savings account. You also need to add a routing number, which I'm going to copy paste to be quick, which represents the bank, and an account number, bank account number, which represents your account, and then the exact name that's available on the account. Then what we always simply have to do is press take payment, and we will handle everything in the background with authorized.net. Now you see the status of the installment is immediately changing to pending processing, which means something is already going on. And when authorized.net or whatever processor we use tells us this payment has been collected, we will update this status. Now for ACH payments, this takes a couple days, so it will stay in pending processing for a while. All of this we can also do on a recurring payment. In this example, I'm using a gift commitment, which is a recurring gift in the MPC context, but obviously this also works with a recurring payment when you only use FinDock, or a recurring donation when you use MPSP. In this case, we have a gift commitment and a schedule without any payment details set up, but using our component on the right-hand side, we can easily set up a payment. Now we could choose to set up new card details or enter a bank account, but because we are in Salesforce, we also have all the different payment methods that this donor in this case, or this payer, or whoever it is, had set up before. And where before you would only see credit card details here, you now also see bank accounts. So you can ask your payer which of your stored details would you like us to use. You can ask this on the phone, you can ask this in an email or an SMS. And when they say, I'd like to use my bank account ending in 7729, you select it, press the button, and then I made a little mistake because obviously this can't be in euro because we're doing American direct debit. And oops, I think my schedule is in euro. But this would work the same as a payment when you do it directly. Now, what you can also see here now, which is convenient, is that if something goes wrong, whether it's in Salesforce, whether it's on the payment processor side, or in this case, we do an additional validation that you can't do a euro payment with ACH direct debit, we immediately tell the agent so they can course correct. And that's how it works. To reiterate, there's several ways you can use this component. You can simply drag it on the record layout of any of our supported objects, recurring payments, recurring donation, gift commitment schedule even, or for one-time payments on the installment, the opportunity, or gift transaction. Or if you want to tailor the experience and you don't want to start from one of these objects, but maybe from the contact record, simply create a flow where you first create one of these records and then continue. Or maybe you want to split out the payers in different countries and use different processors and orchestrate it in a more detailed way. You can simply use flow, drag our payment component on the layout, and start from there. Finally, this is for you if you need an easy way to set up new one-time and recurring payments over the phone or through direct mail, want to offer payers their preferred channel, which is obviously not always online, and also prevent recurrings from failing due to expiring cards, or recover failing recurring direct debits at scale. If you already have our Moto add-on as part of your FinDock subscription, you can get started right away if you use authorized.net. If not, please contact your FinDock AE. Now, what's next? Like I said, we already had credit card in this component for Stripe, WorldPay, and authorized.net processors. With this release, we are adding authorized.net ACH payments. And in the next releases, we'll be adding more processor and payment method combinations, which includes, for example, Stripe with ACH direct debit, cardless ACH direct debit and Box direct debit, but also FinDock native processors like SEPA and Box direct debit, and others on demand. If you're interested to help us design these journeys and serve as a pilot customer, please contact me at laurens@findock.com or email our CSG department at support@findock.com. You can also simply sign up by pressing the interaction that you see in your screen and press the Contact Me button. On to Klaas, who will tell us all about everything else that we've been building in this release.
Thank you, Laurens, and great to see some great demos of things that we're working on for a very long time, and extending that functionality to more customers. I'll be sharing with you everything else that we've been working on in an overview style, and I wanted to start with an announcement on our classic permission sets. With this release, we are announcing that the classic permission sets that we currently have will become end of life in the November 25 release. Until that date, these classic permission sets will receive regular updates when needed, but after that, we won't be updating these permission sets, and we will remove them from our packages, but they will remain in your org. It's very easy to migrate to our new permission sets, and I'll be telling you more about that shortly. But first, I wanted to give a bit of background of where we started. Our classic permission sets have been around for a very, very long time, since the beginning of FinDock, and a lot has changed in the Salesforce world since then. And we started our journey on making our permissions, improving our permission model in the September 23 release, where we started with a new model for managing our permissions and permission set groups, which went GA in May of 2024. And with this release, as you can see here, we're announcing the end of life of our permission sets, which will be end of life in November 2025. If you want to learn more about the details of our new permission set groups, there's a link in the slides that directs you to the May 2024 webinar that you can watch for the detailed for details about that. But I wanted to highlight a few things in this webinar as well about why we moved to this new permission set model. Because before we had in our core permissions 2 role-based permission sets, which were very high level, which were too broad, inflexible. They were also not compatible with the Salesforce integration user license, and there was a lot of manual assignment involved to make sure that your users had the right permissions assigned. And with the journey, we moved to a more granular approach with permission set groups and underlying permission sets, which makes it a lot easier for you to understand and implement permissions. If you want to do it easily, you can do that based on the 4 out-of-the-box roles we've provided. But if you want to go granular, that's also possible with detailed permission sets that you can assign individually. They're configurable and modular. They support the free integration user license. And we've also added the ability that we automatically assign package permissions when new packages are installed as part of the enhanced setup. This migration is very easy, and we're helping you do so. So we've written a very small migration guidance that helps you map out and add the new permission set groups to the right users in your environment. It's that should not take you that should be a very small task by just adding them to the users that you currently have. We also have provided detailed documentation if you want to go further on the new permission sets and permission sets groups, if you want to model out all the permissions. And if you need more help, obviously, FinDock support is here to help you. We will be, if there are any questions, then definitely let us know. If there's any unclarity, we'd love to know how to help you out and make sure that this migration is as smooth as possible without any disturbance to your processes. And this is one of the many things we've shipped, and I'd like to highlight a few things from the long list of small improvements that we did. One of the things that we did as part of the features that we were working on with regards to the payment API and recurring payments is that our recurring payments object now also supports person accounts, which is a great enhancement for people that are using recurring payments in the Salesforce industry context, where person accounts are the default. Also for our fundraising nonprofit cloud integration and on giving pages, we've enhanced the gift collection date handling to make sure you don't miss a term in your on your schedule in some certain scenarios. And there's a lot more that you can see on this slide. For Ideal, which I also wanted to highlight, and IGN, we've deprecated the Ideal issuer parameter, and also in the process significantly sped up the process of making an Ideal payment with IGN by removing unnecessary in-between steps. There's no action needed from your end because we will be gracefully handling that on your end. If you have a custom integration, we do recommend you to remove the issuer parameter from your integration, but that should not lead to issues if you keep it around, because we gracefully handle that for you. And finally, we've made some significant enhancements on Molly and Go Cardless as well on the batch processing handling for both processors to make them even more performant. Finally, in Sweden, we've added 2 very nice enhancements and features to our solution there. We've added support for the cancelled and amended payment reports for Autogiro, which gives you even more detail about payments that are not successful and allows you to act upon that in an automatic way. And additionally, we've added support for the Swish files that report Swish payments that have come in manually from Swedbank and Handelsbank, and bringing our coverage of Swish files up to the 3 major banks, Nordea, Swedbank, and Handelsbanken. And hopefully that will help our customers cover most of these use cases. If you want to read all the details and also read the updates to our documentation that are behind some of these features, you can read the release notes. They are already published on our docs, which you can visit on our documentation website for all key details and questions and answers. That's a lot of things that have been shipped. Thank you for joining this webinar. We will stay around for questions and answers. If you have them, you can post them in the chat, and we will respond to them. If you have other places to go to, feel free to leave the webinar, and we will share the recording afterwards with you. So thank you for your time, and hope to see you next time in our next release webinar.